Hello and welcome to Before We Break Up Again with me, Alfie Brown, and her, Jessie Cave. A sexy hotel room special this week that in the end turned out to be a hotel room special with a little bit of... Crying. There was a bit of crying, deep, emotional conversation, but with an appropriate and pleasing amount of levity, so as that it did not get too heavy going at any one time, or maybe it did get a bit heavy going at one point, but either way, I still think it's very worth a listen. So
we talk about periods, just to give you a warning about that.
Periods and stuff again, because it's what's on the menu. We don't make the rules. Enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to a sexy hotel room special of Before We Break Up Again, the hit podcast. Well, I've just done this in the intro, surely, but it can't hurt to hammer home the point that this is the BWBUA podcast. What are you shaking your head at already?
Just the hit podcast thing. Just stop saying that.
Why?
Because it's just... Especially if you just said it in the intro. Like, it's so embarrassing, Alfie.
But it isn't a hit podcast.
Exactly, but it looks like you think it is.
I think everybody's in on the joke.
I think that's your flaw, is you think everyone's in on the joke when no one's in on the joke.
That has been a problem in my past.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the problem right now.
Okay.
I think I've learned from the error of my ways. And now I try to put myself in the... I think... I don't think many people with a hit podcast say hit podcast, which is why I like to say hit podcast. And I will say hit podcast until it is a hit podcast, upon which point I will stop saying hit podcast.
Okay.
Because
what is a hit podcast?
One that if we have an above like median salary from the podcast alone, I think we could quite confidently say it is a hit podcast.
Do you think that podcasts will be like, you know how you used to be able to make a living as something in the entertainment industry that now is obsolete because of social media and things?
Like what?
I'm trying to think. Maybe a DJ, maybe
I think DJs are still pretty...
a writer on like a Heat magazine type thing. Do you think because now there's such a saturation of podcasts, do you think it will become almost impossible to make a living from a podcast because there's too many?
I think that, it'll be spread a lot more thinly. Yeah. So people who, like, because our listenership would put us surely in the 0.1% of all podcasts that exist. And yet it isn't quite enough to sustain a living. Well, we don't earn any money off it yet because we've chosen not to monetize it yet. Not even if we could, but...
It just made me think because Shag, Married, Annoyed, say, or like the Peter Crouch, Abby Clancy one.
That's making a few pounds.
Yeah, of course they are. They're selling out the O2.
Abby Clancy and Peter Crouch?
No, well, I don't know.
Chris and Rosie Ramsey.
Yeah, I don't know if the Crouches have done any stadiums.
No.
But so do you think there'll be a huge disparity between those type of podcasts and then everybody else's?
Well, the quite nice thing about Chris and Rosie Ramsey's podcast is it was their podcast, and I think they are owners. I'm sure they have producers and people now, but when it started, it was an indie podcast. But now there are so many podcasts that such a differentiation can be made between indie and otherwise.
Yeah.
So like we are an indie podcast in the Global Player or Keep It Light Media or Gold Scorer. What's it called?
Gold Hanger.
Gold Hanger Productions. The rest are breakups. The rest are more successful relationships. The rest are whatever. They are not indie podcasts in that they are under the arm of a big production company network thing. So lots of the Global Player ones they'll be given a retainer by Global Radio.
That's their new full-time job. So Emily Maitlis is making her living off the podcast now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's her job as a broadcaster in the same way that it was working for the BBC on Newsnight for a long time.
Yeah.
But now she's replaced that with being on Newsagents, which not only gets a lot more like attention, a lot more people listen to that than watch Newsnight, I imagine.
Definitely. It's incredible to think about how the landscape has changed. Like 5 years ago, reels weren't a thing. And now reel is part of our language. Reels.
Mm-hmm.
During COVID, I remember me and BB were trying to do some videos together on IGTV and thinking, oh no, we got to just do a plain photo. IGTV is nothing. And just how it's changed, and the same for podcasts, how there would be like 3 that I knew of, but now I find podcasts too overwhelming. There's too many and I don't know what I should be listening to and which I shouldn't be listening to. So it's much easier for me to just stick with one thing that I have listened to once and I like and I'll listen to now forever.
I think there's something quite nice about the idea that what you can find something much closer to what it is that you want. So on TV, when there were 5 channels, 17 million people would watch Morecambe and Wise on a Saturday night, or 17 million people would watch EastEnders or Coronation Street. Whereas now a few thousand people will watch and listen to this podcast, which is loads of people. But at the same time, it's nowhere near as many. But and even if a podcast is getting big numbers, like The Rest Is Politics, it's still not getting Coronation Street or like what the news would have got in the olden days. I imagine. I don't know what the stats are. What are your hopes and dreams for this podcast?
Well, I was going to say one last thing before, because I think this would be really funny to do just a business meeting about our podcast as a podcast. But for instance, when I did the CBBC presenting job a couple of years ago, it was I thought, oh, that's going to be so amazing for my career because it's a main channel. I mean, obviously the kids channel, but it might transform my career. It's a show that's kind of in the line of the Great British Bake Off type thing. It was about art for kids, and had to be fully vetted by the BBC to check that I was like, I don't know, acceptable to be on children's TV. And I don't think it was hardly viewed, and it was completely invisible. And that's because most kids now are even watching TV on YouTube and they're streaming the shows that they like. And so, yeah, it's quite sad in a way, because five years ago, that would have been a really big deal for me. But then it moved so quickly that even in 2023, it just wasn't. I think people watch more YouTube than they do TV, and people watch more YouTube than they do any other, like Amazon Prime or Netflix. People watch YouTube more. So YouTube is the place to make it. Yeah. And then I was also thinking that if we did our live podcasts, not our live ones, like if we did start doing 2 a week,
mm-hmm.
which is what I assume that we're aiming for.
Maybe.
If I can keep my PMDD symptoms under the radar.
We're in the thick of it at the moment with PMDD.
We're in my bad days. But I was actually having a good day until I saw you. So I think it's your fault.
Yes. I don't know if you've seen that. I get fed these reels all the time about women, me when I'm ovulating versus me when I'm on my period or whatever. And it's all like, just people being cum hungry maniacs when they're ovulating, and then fantasizing about breaking up with their partner when they're like experiencing their period or bad symptoms. And I go, yeah, I experience that.
Yeah, but you don't, because I have an inverted cycle. So it's kind of all fucked up, and you can't really place when certain things, you can't plan when things are going to happen. No,
but I did say to you at the beginning of the week, when are we due another PMDD patch? And you tapped your watch and said, now. And
it always seems to happen when we're in hotels.
And lo and behold.
It's very, very disconcerting because it just kind of creeps over me.
And there's like, it's very, very difficult as to navigate. Obviously, it's difficult for you, much more difficult for you than it is anybody else, but also a bit difficult for me, I'd say. And navigating how to approach you. Like, is it good when you're having one of these episodes? Is it even okay to call it an episode? To say, I think you might be having one of your PMDD episodes, or do you just go, no, I respect what you're saying and take it absolutely on its own merits, and I do agree. I don't know how to play it. Do you know how to play it, Jessie?
It's just so frustrating though when you've actually done something to annoy me and then we have to put it down to my symptoms. It's slightly jarring. But
there is also so if you take me doing the same thing, I'm interested in whether you think this might be the case. If I did say the same thing on the 1st of January and the 15th of January, and on the 1st of January, you're not in your Luteal phase.
Also, that's just...
Is that what it's called?
The Lutil, I have a different cycle, Alfie. So it's not the 15th of January. It'd be like the 24th or the
Jessie,
30th of January.
I was just trying to use the dates to illustrate the point rather than be absolutely exact with the dates of your cycle. That's why I chose January, to make it totally abstract.
Okay, cool.
I understand that the actual days on which it occurs may be different from the 1st and 15th. They were just nice round numbers with which to illustrate the point.
Yeah, but if it was happening on the 1st or the 15th, it's almost... That would be too much.
What do you mean?
God, just it's not. I have elongated periods, so it would be like longer between. It's not like I'm mad every 2 weeks.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm quite okay. Let me rephrase it. I'm sorry.
I know I was just quite dumb just then.
Actually. No. I'm sorry. So if you were out of the luteal phase, is the one where you're slightly more
post ovulation.
So the luteal phase, is that what it's called? Okay, great. So we'll call it in luteal phase and out luteal phase. The same behavior from me out luteal phase could be just, I'm not even sure if you'd notice, we'd go on happily with our lives. Whereas I think maybe you see the worst in what I do during the luteal phase. Do you think that's possible?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think that we have kind of hot topics or red zones of where things that constantly will always get me annoyed whether I'm in the luteal phase or not.
Yes.
And I think that today, unfortunately, it's clashed with the luteal phase and a red zone.
Right. And the red zone was...
me interrupting you and then you getting annoyed and then me getting angry that you got annoyed.
I didn't get annoyed. I'll say that again.
Well, I saw it in your eyes.
Yes, I think that's seeing things in my eyes.
I saw it in your eyes.
You're seeing it in my eyes. I must be careful with those eyes in the future. You saw it in my eyes. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'll try and I might do the rest of the podcast like this.
Well, I'm doing that anyway because I'm not looking at you.
I know you're not. That's more of a vanity thing than a...
Yeah, just very, very self-conscious today and I'm very bloated.
Why are you bloated?
Because of my fucking period thing.
Right.
What do you think?
I'm just double checking that is where we're at.
Yeah, it's annoying. It is annoying. I know I might sound just horrific to some men. I know.
No, but you don't, because it is. It's a thing that we've got to. Like
Alfie, you did something that annoyed me. It wasn't because I'm in my luteal phase.
No, I know. I appreciate that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're very good, aren't you?
I'm not very good. I'm just what?
You know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You're publicly apologizing and mentioning the luteal phase in the same breath. So you just seem like a good guy.
Well,
I know what you're doing.
I don't really know. This is the thing. Is like you're appearing like a good guy. Like, I don't know. I would be interested to know if the guys from Married at First Sight were here, if what they'd... Now, Alfie.
How are you feeling?
You've apologized but you're not doing it in quite the right melody for Jessie to appreciate it. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to adjust your voice slightly and not make too much eye contact with her. Think about her like a cobra on an Indian mountain road that you need to... No? You're negotiating with the cobra. It's flared its rib muscles out. It's showing you that it's about to attack. Now, proximity is not your friend.
You know, what did they always used to say? Like something about worshipping or
cock worship.
No.
Oh, right.
What did they say on maths lots about? You don't get to
show up for me.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
You're not showing up for me.
You're not showing up for me in my Luteal phase.
I think I've shown up for you in your Luteal phase.
Yeah.
I'm getting better and better at navigating the old Luteal phase. And
you definitely are.
I know, like today, I didn't get usually I would have gone, why the fuck are you being like this? Whereas now I'm going I understand. It's all great. It's going to be fine. We just need to move through it.
You wouldn't know the thing is, it's lucky for me because then I can say, oh, sorry, it was my Luteal phase later.
Mm-hmm. And it's lucky for me because I can go, it's her Luteal phase. She's not a bad person.
But because I've said so many different things, because I'm only learning about my body now in my late 30s, post children, which is a mad way to do things. But that's how, unfortunately for women, it seems to be. It seems to be that lots of things after you've had babies flare up. And we're told that actually pregnancy cures things and, your symptoms might get better after pregnancy. But it's kind of bullshit. Once you've had babies, things really change.
Because I didn't know you before you got pregnant with your first child. I mean, I did.
Our first child.
Yes, but the pet question I'm posing is purely related to you. So that was displayed in my phraseology in posing the question. But
sorry,
yes,
sir.
You're absolutely. No, I'm just saying that you can't correct me and then make me seem like I'm just saying that's why I phrased it like that.
This is why I got annoyed at you earlier, by the way.
No, it's not.
It is because you just over-intellectualize everything.
I didn't correct you. I was just happily speaking.
No, but after you just talk so fancy. I don't know what you're saying.
But you corrected me.
Just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you see, I'm confused.
But that's not my fault.
Okay. So you didn't know me until I was pregnant with my child.
Yes, our first child. So did you have, as you reflect on yourself now, were you still prone to the old luteal swing?
No, because I didn't have periods before I got pregnant. Basically, I had 4 periods before I got pregnant with my first child.
I'd like to formally apologise for asking the question.
You know that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that I was ovulating and I wouldn't have got pregnant with you.
Mm-hmm. But I did just want to ask the question because I wasn't totally sure how contingent your luteal phase, because you were still able to ovulate.
No, I don't think you ovulate if you don't have periods, because otherwise you would have a period.
But you did ovulate because you got pregnant.
Yes, because that was my first period.
So did you
my first period. It wasn't my first period.
It wasn't your first period. You still had, stuff was still going on.
No.
Nothing was going on.
Well, if you have polycystic ovaries, I probably had 1 period a year between 20 and 24. And then I probably had 1 more when I was 25. And then the one that was the one that got me pregnant was you.
And as you reflect on those periods now, do you think you had luteal phases during those periods?
No, genuinely, because they were so bizarre, the periods. I always got jealous of women and girls who had proper periods, like 5 days long, so much blood, clots. I would get super jealous of them.
And they'd have to be in their jogging bottoms and be in bed and just
have a hot water bottle.
Have a hot water bottle. Yes, it was so feminine and there's something so comforting about that. And yeah, I completely get that.
And the teacher's giving them like, oh, do you need some paracetamol?
A feminist photograph of the woman with the grey jogging bottoms with the blood in her crotch.
Yeah.
You think, yeah.
Yeah, I never ever had any of that. Never used a tampon.
You've never used a tampon in your life?
No. Never used a tampon successfully anyway.
You've tried?
I tried once, I think, but that was only after the tropical virus.
Where did you think you went wrong? The tropical virus,
which we've talked about, I think.
But just to recap, a vagina-based sort of STD adjacent thing. It wasn't an STD. It was STD adjacent. I did say that, Jessie. Very careful to say that.
My vagina had to regrow.
It was essentially a disease that was sexually transmitted, but not a sexually transmitted disease in the original sense, in that you did have sex and then you got what you call, I wouldn't, a vagina volcano.
It's the only way I can describe it accurately.
Yes, I think it's very evocative.
My vagina genuinely had to regrow.
Yes.
I got a new vagina at 22.
And that's why it's so splendid. And why indeed, as you may have certain misgivings about me as a man, is that the woman I have sex with is 38 years old, but her vagina is only 17.
Okay, that's bizarre. Let's stop that.
Well, it's quite clearly just a silly joke.
It's a silly joke, but it makes me feel quite uncomfortable. I've just been reading about Lolita. Anyway, so I just didn't know anything about that kind of thing. My periods were very manageable and nothing. And I longed for periods that I never got. So that's why I was able to be slightly naive about protection with sex for a good few years.
Yes, up until you could no longer claim to be naive, as there was a child in the woman.
Yeah, well, I was essentially told that I couldn't really have children without a lot of effort.
Sister woman, this woman has life in her body.
I think it's such a rare thing in life to be truly surprised.
And
I think the only time I've been truly surprised is finding out I was pregnant. What about you? I've seen you truly surprised because I've seen a video of you being surprised by your friend.
When Henry visited and surprised me from Nashville in Edinburgh, that was true surprise.
Me telling you I was pregnant must have been a surprise.
That was a bit of a surprise, yeah. I was surprised, yeah.
Even though you replied to me when I said I need to talk to you, you replied to me, pregnant or diseased.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said I need to talk to you because I knew that I either had to check myself for, whatever it was going to be.
Gonorrhea.
I don't think it would have been gonorrhea because we're not in Victorian times, but it might have been...
Gonorrhea's back.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, gonorrhea and syphilis are back.
Wow, like Justin Timberlake.
Is he back?
He's back.
Is he back?
Right around the same time that gonorrhea and syphilis are back as well. Coincidence?
Is he actually back?
I don't know. I was just trying to make a lovely joke.
Oh no, I got so excited, Alfie. I love him.
So do you think, all of this tumult in your mood that you now experience owing to your luteal phase and your fresh PMDD diagnosis, can you recognize any of that, any of these little swings occurring in your earlier life? Or
no, I'm saying no because they didn't happen. So can I just explain something to you and you just try and not know more than me about this? Because I can try. You can try. When it's really common for things to get worse as you age as a woman in certain ways. So as it is for men too, I'm sure in lots of ways, but yeah, it's really common for women post-birth to get stranger and worse periods. Right. And more extreme symptoms post-birth. So that's what's happened to me. And because I never had that long a gap between babies for 10 years, I did have the 4-year gap, the 3-year gap between our second and third child. And if you really think about that 3-year gap, given that we were broken up for at least a year of that gap and it was COVID and my brother died. We weren't, the PMDD symptoms probably would have happened a little bit, but we wouldn't have known them because it was so tangled up with grief and other things. But then pregnancy and breastfeeding kind of keeps your periods at bay. So I was saved from those symptoms. And so this post-fourth baby, breastfed him for 2 years. My periods didn't come back till I was at least a year and a half postpartum. So it makes complete sense that now that my body's like, hang on, it's been 3 years, you haven't had a child, what's going on? Let's punish you for that by giving you quite extreme period symptoms now.
You were worried I was going to try and know more about that than you?
No, but just, I'm not lying when I say that I had no symptoms before I had Donnie.
I trust that you're not lying. I just asked the question. I just find it, I just find it surprising, but I'm not disbelieving.
It's really common for periods to change as you get older.
I mean, my knowledge of the female reproductive system and its treats is shamefully thin.
It is really just because, I could say to you that I'm ovulating at any stage of my cycle and you'd be like, okay, cool.
I'm not sure that I think if you were to poll a selection of men that I would necessarily know less than the average.
But it's so obvious. That's what I just don't understand about men. It's so obvious when you're ovulating.
I'll tell you what's obvious is the Luteal phase. I never miss one of those. But
anymore.
Anymore. But that's why I ask, is because there are, and now it makes so much more sense because there are certain occasions whereby it does shift the center of your personality slightly. And I have lots of, and the diagnosis really helps because it helps me rationalize things that otherwise I would find it quite hard to deal with. And it's helped you as well, hasn't it?
It has helped me because for a couple of years, I thought I just wanted to die in those periods of time. So for about a week, each 6 weeks, I just thought, what the fuck is going on? Why is everything so, I can't do this. I just can't do this. And was battling that on my own because it's too bleak to say really out loud. And now I'm not afraid of saying that out loud because fuck it, I
mean, you told me.
I told you, but I mean, I would never usually say that on a podcast.
No. But you weren't alone, in your room dealing with it. We were trying to suss out what it was. I remember.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't react well to antidepressants, which is one of the things that you're kind of prescribed when you're diagnosed with it.
No, your body seems to assimilate antidepressants as if they were actually pro-depression. These are depressant encouragers. They actually bring on the onset of depression with a real gusto, didn't they?
Yeah, but what's also fascinating, and sorry to make this all about women's health, which I know isn't a fun topic for lots of people.
No, I think it's probably where most of the mileage in the conversation is today.
Apparently, sertraline is a specific SSR, what is it called?
SSRI, yeah. Serotonin uptake, yeah.
That specific antidepressant is the worst antidepressant you should take if you have PMDD. Apparently, it will only do something else, which is what it did to me. It made me suicidal. And I was given that, and I told the doctor after 2 weeks, I was like, I feel worse. Why do I feel worse? And they were like, just keep going for up to 6 weeks. It should ease by then. And if it doesn't, after 6 weeks, give up. I had extreme side effects, not only mentally, but physically. And then after 6 weeks, obviously gave up. And then a doctor, when I did this trial that I eventually didn't go through with, but had a really lovely experience talking to these doctors who were specifically specialized in depression and PMDD and women's health. They were like, it's outrageous that you're prescribed that antidepressant. Of course you went worse. And so there isn't enough knowledge out there about the right antidepressants to take if you have this. And that's why there's such a huge number of women who have PMDD
who are single,
killing themselves.
Oh, right.
Oh, God. So if I was to do antidepressants again, it would be a different one.
I just, I'm not willing to commit, but that's very funny. Do antidepressants like it's MDMA. I'm just going to go and do some antidepressants and listen to...
Oh, is that not how you say it?
I think you'd say like go on antidepressants, but do them as if they're a drug. I think it was funny, a funny way to phrase it. I mean, I hope it was okay for me to enjoy that.
It was.
Thank you.
And also now that I'm doing OnlyFans for my hair, can't go on antidepressants because one of the side effects, if you read all the side effects, one of them is hair loss. Yeah,
but a lot of them are like explosion and death, and like they list everything on all like the list. Why don't you look at the paracetamol side effects or the Nurofen side? Like it's.
I know, but the second you see that, you can't. I'm one of those people who reads the side effects, and I remember them forever. So I just couldn't I remember at the time thinking, but the only thing that makes me feel good about myself is my hair and my skin, and I know that's incredibly pathetic. But they're two things that I've held on to my entire life because it's like, what?
I know that's incredibly pathetic.
It is. It's fucking vain and
harsh way to speak about yourself.
But it's so vain.
Everybody's vain in some way or another. Or like, and if they're not, they might be. It's
embarrassing to be vain.
It's. You're allowed to feel happy about having good skin and hair. No,
I'm not. It's not that I feel happy, but it's like I hold on to those compliments, and I've always had those compliments since I was so young. Weirdly, I got compliments from such a young age, like about my skin. And then when I started working as an actress, it was like I would sit down in the makeup chair, and they'd be like, they would just be so nice about my skin, and which might have contributed to the breakdown, is I think in the last 2 jobs I've done as an actress, no one's complimented me. And that might be just because my skin isn't good anymore, my hair isn't as good anymore, whatever. And I've just got older, and, that's just the way it is. But I remember sitting down and, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Okay. You are listening to Before We Break Up Again, a Luteal phase special, straight from the Luteal's mouth, as it were. We have a woman here on the cusp of a breakdown. Jessie, do you want to tearfully explain why
this was meant to be a sexy hotel room special?
It was meant to be that, wasn't it? But as we sit here right now, it doesn't feel totally like it's taken that direction. So why don't you tell us again about how not being complimented on your skin is going to make you cry? No,
that sounds so awful. You can't say that. That's going to be like the fucking clickbait thing.
I think I just repeated what you said, but anyway, carry on.
It just leads to you feeling quite invisible and like getting, I think the reason, like the other reason why this OnlyFans thing has been really good for my self-esteem and stuff.
You should try and sell this video. This is £40 if you want to see me cry about why this has been good for my self-esteem. Come on, Juicy.
It's just a really cruel industry.
Yeah.
And
it is shit.
And you suddenly realise, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Yeah, but it's just been so obvious to me in the last few years how youth and those things matter so much more than skill or talent or, hard work. And I think that's what's led me to this new phase of being like, no, actually, I'm gonna do something based on image and aesthetic, and I'm gonna get what I can out of that while I can. But it's also led me to such a more morphed idea of time, like the idea that at 40 it will run out and it will stop. and you're, oh no, I'm going to really cry. But I was just, I was listening to this podcast with Danny Minogue. Obviously it was How to Fail. And it just really struck me that she was saying that she was made to feel like if she didn't, once she was 30, it was everything just ended for a woman in showbiz or whatever. And I really do feel like that, like, oh God, when I'm 40, is it all going to be gone?
I am prone to these like protective instincts with you. And when there is something or somebody that makes you feel bad or poorly about yourself, I seek or have the desire to seek vengeance on your behalf. And nothing makes me feel quite that way like the acting industry. It seems like if I was to design a framework for self-employment, and the key thing that I wanted to achieve was as much mental illness as possible, I would design the audition by self-tape process. It depletes everybody's joy. It depletes your joy because you've got to. First of all, it's how technology has stripped us of dignity, and that now the same self-service checkouts. It's the same as self-tape. You do it and just send it to us, and we won't even dignify you with a response. You've just got to fling your shit at us and hope that we like the way it smells.
And get no reply.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no care.
At least when you went into audition, there were people who would, if you were very lucky, look you in the eye. And that process was still pretty unforgiving, but at least it involved some human contact. And now we live so isolated with the illusion of community given to us by social media, but actually dislocates us more and more. Yeah, I'm really sorry, and it's really,
it's
really
just all
horrible.
Tied in, isn't it? It's all tied into this where we are now.
What, in a hotel room speaking into Shure SM7Bs with a microphone?
Well, we're in a hotel room with the ostensibly to do a podcast, which was meant to be a sexy hotel room special.
It was, and the last one we filmed in a hotel featured so much talk about 69ing and whatnot.
But then you deleted it.
I didn't delete it. I left it on a memory card in the hotel room, and then they pretended not to see it, even though they're all just
Thank God that wasn't a sex tape. And not that we've ever done a sex tape.
No, but we should.
Maybe today. That's maybe going to make me feel better. Actually.
Yeah. I'd like to do one with you crying. It'd be like in, what's that film with Olivier Martinez and Richard Gere and Diane Lane?
Of course I don't know.
The Affair, Unfaithful.
Okay.
And she's crying because she really likes The Affair, but she hates herself for it.
Oh
and then
my God, I remember that.
And then he's saying to her, tell me you want me to fuck you. And then she's crying going, I want you to fuck me.
Okay, I can easily do that later. So we're here so that I can have a time in a bathroom, which isn't our Limescale bathroom at home, to do some content for OnlyFans, which I'm on because my acting career failed. And the only thing I've got left is my hair.
Well, your acting career didn't fail.
It did fail, Alfie. It's failed so mesmerically. It's been an entire failure. It's been so unsatisfactory and upsetting, the entire thing. Nobody's
it's fucking Austin Butler's acting career is going well right now. That's it. He's the only one.
Who?
Austin, the guy who fucking played Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
Who's sort of so attractive that women kind of die in his presence.
I just feel like he looks like he's had so much filler.
Well, look, sure, but I think a lot of it is to do with the personal charisma. I mean, many people who are very, very attractive, you meet them and you go, oh, that's a shame. And then a lot of like but people who aren't maybe classically or obviously attractive in a photograph, you meet them and they have such a weight of charisma that they're extremely sexually attractive. So I think a lot of it is to do with his personal charisma, but I actually don't know. I've never met Austin Butler. And, you know, it was a name I picked out my arse. There are other actors doing well.
Yeah, no, of course. I know there are other actors doing well. What did you think I said?
I wasn't contradicting you. I was just...
There are many
I was saying
actors.
that I was making the joke that the amount of actors that are doing well at the moment are very few and far between. And actors who, even like non-famous actors who were enjoying an income from acting till recently are now not, owing to things like many fewer programs getting made than there were before.
No, it's the opposite. More programs and more streaming than ever before, which means that the jobs are... You get basically paid less because there's so many of them now. Yes.
And either way, it doesn't feel like anybody's doing particularly well, apart from Austin Butler, of course.
Anyway, no, and that all of the period stuff we were talking about and my hormones and my desire to have...
Period stuff as in the shedding of your uterus lining every month, or period stuff as in you can't get a job in a period drama?
No, I would love a job in a period drama. That's all I want. That's all I want.
And you'd be brilliant.
I think that's I've got to do period drama OnlyFans. That's the only way I can do it. Yeah. And I genuinely am doing that. And that's okay.
It is. And it's great that it's given you this lease of confidence to go back into. If we go back to where we were when you started crying, it's been really great for you, and the compliments about your skin. And you have...
No, I mean, I don't get compliments about my skin on OnlyFans. They still want me to just get my titties out.
Which are covered in skin.
They're not.
So, like, you know, it's still a flesh adjacent interest, isn't it? All of you is covered in skin, and it's all really lovely skin.
That's lovely. Thank you.
It really is. But also, I think that you sell yourself short by concentrating so much on this skin and this...
I'm not.
hair. There's also, as you said, the aforementioned them titties, and
I don't know how we got into skin and hair. I'm so sorry to the listeners.
Such a beautiful bone structure as well.
That's don't compliment me, Alfie. Just stop complimenting me.
You're so beautiful.
Stop.
I love you.
Stop.
I really love you.
Yeah, it's all going to be fine. I am enjoying what I'm doing, and that's the main thing. And I am, even though it wasn't something I would ever have thought that I would be doing, I'm so embracing it and feel validated, and the validation is coming from me. And does that make sense? Can validation come from you?
Yes.
Self-validation.
Yes.
And I made more money than I have in acting in over a decade.
Well, exactly. And like Kate Nash and Lily Allen before you, you are treading a path. And
I just would love to know their stats. I so want to know their stats.
I think they were probably, there was a higher peaks, and I don't think neither of them had the commitment that you have.
Well, you don't know that. Kate Nash is still going.
Is she going on OnlyFans?
Kate Nash is still going on OnlyFans, yeah.
Is she?
Yeah, she just does her bum. But also, lots of people don't know who she is. You know that? I think we only know who she is because we're that song Foundations was kind of our... how old were we? Teens?
No, we were 18.
Those day night. How does it go?
My fingertips are holding on to the cracks in our foundations, and I know I want to let go, but I can't. And every time we fight, you say it's over. You got sick on my trainers. Yeah. I only got these yesterday. I can't sing. I can sing, but neither can Kate Nash. That was sort of the point.
Okay, that's enough now. I need to go and eat something.
That's enough podcasting for you. Well, I think let's try and bring it back up before we... Oh,
hang on. Yeah, so I was going to say something that's
really, what I was... we've had a really great week, and we're really excited, and we've been really loving towards each other and it's been brilliant. It's just today has been a bit of a struggle.
It hasn't been a struggle. It's only because I interrupted you and you got high and mighty.
That's a quite large mischaracterization of what truthfully happened. But
anyway, I think before I started crying.
Let's anyway it.
Yeah,
Let's just leave your version of the truth hanging in the air for everybody to take home with them, and I won't offer any of my own reality.
Alfie, stop it. You need to stop being so arrogant after the comments last week and think that you're like the best man in the world.
I don't think that I'm the best man in the world. Far from it. My self-esteem.
Alfie thinks he's the best man in the world.
My self-esteem is not that high.
No, it's dismal. Your self-esteem is awful.
There we go. But with pep talks like that, it'll go shooting through the roof any day now. Your self-esteem is dismal. Luteal! Take that toy around. Luteal!
You mask as someone with very high self-esteem.
Yes.
But you have very low self-esteem.
I do.
Let everyone know it.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm going to cry publicly.
Well, I've already cried on this podcast. So
yeah, you did. Yours was about grief, but mine was about my skin.
Yes, it was pathetic, but
it was symbolic of aging.
I know. We're both.
Hopefully that doesn't.
I'm right in the. I'm hacking through the thicket of middle aged right now. You're only approaching middle age.
Fuck off.
But you're younger than me.
Shut the fuck up.
You are, as a percentage of the life you'll live.
I'm 4 weeks younger than you. I'm not even 4 weeks. I'm 3 weeks younger than you.
Yes, I know, but you will live longer than me, so you are not yet middle-aged.
We don't know that.
Okay.
My PMDD might jump. I might get off Blackfriars Bridge anytime soon. So be careful. You don't know that I'm gonna. We got to make a will. We really do have to make a will. Obviously, that was a dark joke about suicide.
It didn't really feel that it wasn't framed like a joke.
Well, obviously, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But I'm just saying, don't get cocky and think that I'm going to die before you. You're going to die before me.
I'm not getting cocky. Cocky would be me living longer than you.
No, but you're so cocky in your belief that you're right about that. I genuinely could die before you. So don't.
Well, you're a healthier woman, and I'm an unhealthier man. Unhealthy people and men do not live as long as women and healthy people, respectively. So the law of averages suggests, unless intervention from Christ occurs, that you will live longer than me. And that's just the way it is. We're going to
die together.
Yeah,
okay, and we're going to join a cult and die together.
I want you to live in a stately home with me. You won't need to be in the old people's home, but I will. I'll need the care.
Notebook.
And then you'll tell me stories about and you tell me all my old jokes and read my old notebooks. And
hang on, do you know you're talking about the Notebook?
Yes, I do, Jessie. Yeah,
okay, thank God, because otherwise it would be so unfair.
And then we will. Imagine if I'd been able to, if I got to the end of this, and then it would have been a bit, but never mind. Oh, our electrician's been calling me.
You just ended it on a bad note, Alfie.
I'd like to die in a bed with you, holding hands together.
I thought you hadn't seen the Notebook. That's why I interrupted you, because I was like, hang on a second. Do you know you're describing the Notebook plot?
After I watched the Notebook for the first time, I got up and I got into bed and I sobbed for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Why didn't you tell me this when I told you that the other day me and Margot watched the Notebook?
I was saving it for the podcast.
That's ridiculous.
Well, it's not really. I just didn't mention it. I don't know. So much going on in life all the time that I just didn't mention that.
But that would have been a perfect time to say, oh, you just watched the Notebook. Oh, really? Well, guess what happened to me when I watched the Notebook? That would have been lovely.
I did say that I'd seen it. I think.
You didn't say you climbed into bed and sobbed.
No, there are two things. It's very rare that something makes me do that. I mean, when we watched Kramer versus Kramer and Terms of Endearment, I think we were pretty much, I don't think we spoke or could speak through the tears at the end of that.
Terms of Endearment was the most I've ever cried.
Yeah, It's incredible. And
maybe we should watch that again.
I don't think I want to.
I think it was probably a perfect storm of COVID and my brother dying and pregnancy. And I think maybe that's why we cried so much.
I think it's the film.
Well, I would like to watch it again just to see.
And the end of Cold Feet.
Never saw Cold Feet.
Never saw Cold Feet?
No, not for me.
No?
Nope. Don't like the title.
Right.
I want listeners to comment about whether you think Alfie is too precious about me interrupting him, or do you find me incredibly annoying for interrupting him?
I think we both interrupt each other. I think I have a tendency to go off on one a little bit more. I think interrupting sometimes is woven into the nature of what a podcast is, but there are some times, and it's only really when I'm saying something that I think we should clip, that the clip would do better if there wasn't without people speaking over people.
Okay, well here's an exercise for you, an acting exercise, since this is the only acting we're ever going to do. Mm-hmm. Try and do what you were going to do. You wanted obviously the notebook bit to be a clip then. No,
I didn't. I was just doing a bit.
Well, let's try and recreate that right now and see if you can do it. So it was, we started by saying, I might not die before you. You might not die before me. I want to die together. I said, I want to die together. And you said, I'd like us both to be in a stately home.
I would do this, Jessie, but
you're going to do it now.
I've been sat on my bum this way for so long that my cheeks are starting to get pins and needles and there's a twitch in my groin.
Well, that's pathetic.
So I can't do that now.
That's pathetic.
But
okay, fine. I'm too bloated anyway. Let's leave.
But why you said bloated? Because of the Luteal phase.
Oh God.
It really does.
I think we'll have lost people. We'll have lost some people with this episode and gained some people.
I don't know who we're going to gain.
I think we're going to maybe gain some women, mainly actresses, and lose some men.
Everybody's terrified, and I've never known. I have a theory that there is a problem pervading the Western world, let's call it, people our age. I think everybody seems to be doing pretty badly, and mentally, everybody's got mental health problems, and everybody's slightly scared, and people are desperately trying to find their way and are terrified about what the future holds and don't know how to act. I think socially it's a very difficult time, and I don't think we really understand the ramifications of social media and what it has on our social lives and the way in which we both interact with each other and feel about ourselves. And I think it is having real world, day-to-day consequences for the way that we feel and think about ourselves and each other. And we don't know what they are yet because all of this mania is still too fresh. And social media makes success feel like it's so close, but is in and of itself sort of demented and shallow. So
I need you to film a reel for me now on the bed with this lighting. And then can we go for dinner?
You can get your anus out.
No, I was trying to be funny at the end of your very eloquent thing about social media.
I know you are. I thought it was funny as well. I was contributing to that.
I'm part of the problem.
I'm part of the problem.
You just mentioned my anus way too much.
Yeah, well,
Let's go.
You get your anus out way too much.
I really don't.
No, you don't.
Not enough.
No, not for my liking.
Right,
It'll be nice every now and again. Alfie, have a look at this. Aw, thank you. Lovely bit of anus. But you don't.
Well, just as what? You're walking in.
You do get your boobs out quite a lot. That's funny. Because you do it to be funny. It's not funny when you whenever you have they're not funny boobs.
This is why I'm getting a boob job. You just evidence there.
I've
been bullied into a boob job by this man.
So when the football is on a Sunday, there is a sting in between the adverts and the coverage where the Premier League trophy and the titles come on screen, and the music playing is "You never stop this pain, I will never let you go." And whenever I do that, Jessie just hoists her top up to reveal her two breasts and shakes them about and mimes along to "Now I'll never let you go." And it's funny every single time. And
I did that in Love Island too, with music for Love Island when we used to watch Love Island.
And what's that bit?
I don't know. What is it? What was it? And I also did it.
We've only watched one series of Love Island, or is it two?
Actually, it probably wasn't Love Island then. I also do that whenever it's the holiday music.
Do you think we should get Ian to narrate our relationship?
I think he'd find it too harrowing.
Jessie is suffering with PMDD.
Right. Goodbye. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a nice
Thank you for listening
weekend.
To our sexy hotel room special with extra crying and a contretemps for added zest.
What's a contretemps?
L'argument.
Fight.
Yeah. So let's
do the intro now.
Let's film a reel, shall we?
No. Yeah, we're going to film not a reel, just a video.
A bit of sexy content.
It's not sexy.
For the adoring masses.
It's 3 men. Right. Are you finished now?
3 men with deep pockets, though. Goodbye, listener. Thank you very much for being here. And we hope you enjoyed the episode. Bye-bye.